Probably one of the biggest things that I did wrong. I followed what made sense on paper, but not what made sense in my heart. We were dealing with brands at that time like Disney, LG Electronics, Google, just these wild brands. And that's where I started to make some mistakes. Like, oh, I got this volume. I should buy all this equipment. Buying equipment that's like mortgaging a house. And then I need more staff. And then I've got a 5,000 square foot office space. And well, now we've got to have the beer keg and the ping pong table and like all that. And my overhead was massive.
There is the inevitable reality check where you are so optimistically optimist about everything in the business. And then you get through the very first month of really trying out something, right?
This is applicable to any industry, and it's the biggest misunderstood thing, I think, when people are trying to build a brand. You don't actually have to get awkwardly vulnerable or be a total weirdo with your content just to be you.
Letting the creativity and the personality and the person sip through the content, it relates more, which then has a bigger impact on my ability to connect with people, which ultimately is my goal because I want to then help more people.
Everything that you want is on the other side of the thing you don't want to do. Just do it. If you're afraid to do it afraid.
What's going on, STR Nation? This is your host and brother from another mother, Manuel Pani, here all by myself this week. And I'm really excited. First of all, thank you so much for all the birthday love. I turned 36 yesterday, September 17. And honestly, I feel super, super grateful for this last year. I find myself stepping into 36 in the best health, in the best mindset, in the best physical shape that I've been in a long time. And so I'm very grateful for that. And I wanted to share an awareness that I thought about yesterday when I was running, which was different, right? Like anytime I used to celebrate my birthday, we used to go to Mexico a lot, and it was always a chance to unplug and not do the things I normally do, right? Like the workouts. And yesterday I started the day with that 3.6 mile run. Would have been a lot cooler if it was a 36 mile run, but choices that I made in the past make it that I didn't train like that, right? So it would be cool maybe to run 40 miles by the time I'm 40. As I was running yesterday, I realized how my commitments to my desires has changed. And I realized that it was the first time that I went for a run on my birthday, and my birthday used to be a day of off from the responsibilities. Growing older is realizing that the ultimate form of self-love and the ultimate gift that I could give myself is to have the discipline to do the things that are giving me the results that I am looking for. And so there was a new awareness of, as Jocko says, discipline equals freedom. And getting to feel that for myself yesterday was awesome. And having said that, I'm excited for our show today. I had the pleasure of having on one of my really, really good friends. His name is Chris Crawford. He's been in marketing and media for the past 18 years. He's actually just celebrated his 18-year anniversary of owning his business. And we had a wide range of conversation around, first of all, marketing, things that he learned from running a business for 18 years. That is still a successful business to this day, right? Which you understand how hard that can be. The next thing we talked about is the mistake that people make in creating content and the content that they are pushing out and why it's not working for you. This can be applicable to you whatever you're building a personal brand or whatever you're working on building your STR management business. And then understanding how to make people buy what you do. What is the psychology behind doing that? And so we have a wide range of conversation on everything marketing. And one of my favorite things that he talked about was this concept of doing the thing is actually doing the thing. And the example that we use was creating content. So if you are currently struggling in creating the content, one of the things that he said is instead of focusing on everything else that comes after, just focus on creating the content and publishing the content. Like that becomes the goal. The goal doesn't become this massive thing of, I need to generate business, I need to do this, I need to do whatever it is, right? But it's the actual action that becomes the goal. So instead of having this huge goal that might feel daunting, it's breaking it down into the daily action of doing the thing that eventually is going to become the effect of the cause, right? So focusing on the cause of doing the thing, so doing the content in this case, is long-term going to help you generate more sales, more customers, and so on and so forth. So without further ado, I welcome to the show my really, really good friend, Chris Crawford.
Man, I'm super excited, and I'm thinking, who knows where we're gonna end up? Who knows what we're gonna talk about here?
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So Chris and I actually met in which is where Mike and I met as well, and we were part of the Epic Leadership Council of M1. I'm talking many many moons ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the start, but it's kind of like those people that the accountability group that actually holds you accountable, and those are some of the biggest years of growth in my life, because I had a bunch of guys and one woman, Ariel, that was there with us as well. And it was just this super brutal, high level accountability, but super kind and gentle at the same time, which I really, really was really impactful. And they've remained some of my best friends. But that's not why Chris is on. Chris has also had a crazy career in marketing and sales. And so I would love for Chris to kind of give you guys a rundown of who is Chris Crawford. And then from there, we're going to just kind of see how we can get better at marketing and sales.
Can I actually just say something that's occurring to me is, you were talking about the community and how we met, and right out of the gate, almost one of the things that I've really gotten this year is that people are craving community. And the power when you're around the right people in the right environments, like, when you go to an event and you meet someone, you go wherever, you got like-minded values, you're focused on doing the same things in the world, and then you elevate each other, like it's the whole, like, Napoleon Hill coined the mastermind effect phrase in his first book, The Law of Success, and or Laws of Success. And he said, when two or more minds come together and you're focused on the same thing, you create this higher level of mind. And I was just thinking how, we met in that. And so often the entrepreneurial journey is like at home working away by ourselves. But it's like getting in the right rooms, get in the right communities around the right people. You know what I mean? And we're bros. And how many years ago was that we met?
At least 10.
Yeah, like, so anyway, I don't know why I just felt the need to share that. Like, it's just such a, yeah, just meeting people. I know you guys are like, you've got the community, it's so huge, and, it's just so powerful. Like, you guys must be seeing that all the time, just people connecting and vibing. And it's not even just the content and the things that come from the leaders. It's who you connect with. Like, somebody shares and says something and you're like, oh, that's what I needed to hear. Like, that's the unlock that I needed. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That was occurring to me. So anyway, I know you were like, hey, tell us about your background. And I'm like, oh, I just want to jam on this thing right out of the gate. And so I've just crossed the 18th anniversary of a company, my printing company, Kick-Ass Media, based out of Canada. We work with brands and agencies doing product launches. We do movie premiere stuff. We do conferences and things. So we do all the products and we ship all over North America. And I made the leap out of a corporate career to start that, and quickly found, like most of us do, that it's not just, hey, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and you get rich overnight. It's more like, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get, clubbed over and over and over and battle dragons and, develop my character and figure out who I am. So yeah, 18 years of that journey, which has been wild. And then now I'm doing all kinds of other stuff, sharing on stages and talking marketing, and got a couple little girls and just having a blast.
That's awesome, man. So before we go into the marketing, right? 18 years, that's a long time, right? Like, that outlasts the majority of businesses out there, right? And I started my management company in the Villas was 2012, right? So I'm not even there myself yet. So what does that feel like? And would you do it again? Like, if looking back, right? Like, would you do it again? Would you throw in the towels sooner? Would you even started, like, looking back at what Kick-Ass is now, right? Because it's an awesome brand. And, like, guys, for you that don't really, like, he does anytime you're at an event, all those like little pop-up kind of banners, when you go to like movie premieres and there is this gigantic Avengers kind of thing that you take pictures in front of. That's what Chris does, right? Because I didn't understand it the first time you explained to me, and then you're like, this is what I did. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool, right? 18 years later, like,
oh man,
would you do it?
Gosh, that's a great question. You come right out of the gate with a good one. Of course I would do a million things differently. Yeah, I would avoid some of the mistakes and, landmines that I stepped on along the way. Would I do it again? Of course. Who we become in the journey, what we learn. It's just to me, business is a spiritual act as well. And whether you take that as like even just spirit, like the human spirit, like you're the core of who you are, or you want to take it further than that into some kind of a metaphysical, spiritual. I'm cool with that too. And man, I've just learned a lot about myself. I've grown as a human, just in such insane ways. I think probably one of the biggest things that I did wrong was I followed what made sense on paper, but not what made sense in my heart a few times. And it always cost me. Like it came around in lessons that helped me, but it, it just, I remember early on, the model I had set up was, I don't need to get in the weeds on it, but I was outsourcing everything. It was easy. It was just me, and I was answering the phone, and it was freedom. And then it grew, and I was hiring staff, and got my first little office space, which is a former Chinese food restaurant. And I turned it into a little office, and it still smelled like Chinese food when you went into it. And it had, like, in the back room, it had the greasy woks and fryers, and like this layer of slime on the walls in the back room from deep fry. Here's the crazy thing. That's when my business really took off. And we were dealing with brands at that time like Disney, LG Electronics, Google, like 20th Century Fox, like just these wild brands out of this little crap hole Chinese food place, me and this other guy. And we're just like, if they only knew that we were shipping like what we're working out, but that's what you do, you just do stuff, and you figure it out. And we grew, and then I got a fancy office, and and that's where I started to make some mistakes. I started to do the things on paper that looked right, like, oh, I got this volume, I should buy all this equipment, and then I'm buying equipment that's like mortgaging a house, and then I need more staff, and then I've got a 5,000 square foot office space, and well, now we've got to have the beer keg and the ping pong table and like all that. And so I built this whole thing, and he didn't love it. And my overhead was massive. Like, I mean, massive's relatable to whatever's big for you, but it was big for me. And I remember hitting a point where if I didn't do 100,000 in a month, we were losing money. Like that was our break even. So looking back, the biggest thing was remembering to keep following my heart and not just follow make sense on paper, because it's hard to sustain if you don't love it, if you're not excited. You know what I mean?
100%. And I think I see that a lot with people that join Secrets, and I can see they have that motivation at the beginning, and they have that drive at the beginning. And then there is that inevitable reality check that happens, where you are so optimistically optimist about everything in the business, and then you get through the very first month of really trying out something, right? Like, I think about dancing salsa, right? I recently started dancing salsa. My girlfriend is Cuban, so it just kind of comes with the territory. But as you know, right, I love dancing my whole life. Lots of nights in Miami, I'm like, oh, dude, dancing is dancing. I want to do great. Massive reality check, right? Like following dancing in a nightclub after a couple of tequila shots, and following a choreography in a dance studio with other people watching you with lights on. It's very different, right? But I think most people at that reality check, they get so discouraged. They don't understand that that's just the natural cycle of things, right? Like changing ideas, like going, okay, no, I need a new idea. Something clicks, becomes a want, becomes a goal. You're still going to get to that point, right? Like that piece there is inevitable, right? There's nothing you can do. It's going to be there to welcome you once you're ready to experience it, right? All those lessons learned, right? 18 years, we will still do it again. Now that you consult to a lot of people starting businesses, wanting to start coaching businesses, wanting to start sale businesses and everything else. If one of our listeners comes to you and is like, look, Chris, I heard you on the podcast. I want to launch my personal brand, and I've been doing this for a couple of years, and I think I do well. I think I do better, but nobody knows who I am. What is a framework that you would offer him or her of being like, okay, this is how you can look at marketing and your personal brand, that it would help you serve your larger purpose, that is to serve and help more people, with the effect of making you more money, right?
Yeah. So probably the biggest mistake that I see people make is they try to take this too professional stance and then almost all their content is all heady like content. And I can unpack that a little bit. But the biggest shift that put us on the map when we were out in the Chinese food restaurant was a day that I walked in and this guy that was working with me, Dave, we were bros and we were just like going to take on the world, with our printing company bros. And he was like, dude, you got to watch this video. And it was Simon Sinek's Start With Why video. And I'd recommend anybody watch that. It was an old TED talk. And I feel like it's poor quality video, whatever, because this is like early days of TED talk. But the point is he says, people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. They buy why you do what you do. And I took that and thought they don't buy what you do, but they buy a why, a purpose, something else. And Simon went on to say, most people talk about what they do. So they talk about their product, their service, the features, the details, even us in our printing company, like printed products, kind of boring. Like we have cool clients, but they're printed products, right? But why do we ship? I just got off right before this, like my phone's ringing and we're in Canada, we're based out of Toronto, and we're shipping products to LA, we're shipping products across Canada, we're shipping products Miami. So why are we shipping products over the roofs of hundreds of print companies? Because how many print companies are in every single town and city across North America? So why are they coming to us? And it's because we speak a different language. We don't just speak in what we do about our product. We speak to the things that they really care about. So when people look at our website versus our competitors, like you would barely know we're in the same industry. And this is applicable to any industry. And it's the biggest misunderstood thing, I think, when people are trying to build a brand. Is this making sense the way that I'm explaining there?
100%, because to share my personal realizations, you were sharing this. As you guys know, I have been putting more effort on my online presence and my Instagram and everything else. And a lot of my content up until now has been what Danny calls a talking head.
Yeah.
It's like this video right here, it's captured, and they tend to be more coaching style kind of clips. And they are heady, and the stuff that we have noticed, or that I have noticed, is in letting the creativity and the personality and the person sip through the content. It relates more, which then has a bigger impact on my ability to connect with people, which ultimately is my goal, because I want to then help more people, right? So it's a real thing that I've never realized. And at the same time, a natural question comes up for me, right? Because I've experiencing the awareness of myself as I'm doing this. It can feel hard to put the real you out. A clip, a video that I would feel comfortable sharing with my bro, Chris Crawford, even though it's funny, or even though it would feel a certain kind of way, it's resistance within me up until now on actually posting it out to the public, right? And so I'm sure you work with a lot of entrepreneurs that have a big why, but yet there is this bigger why of not wanting to ridicule yourself. That is a bigger why than the why of why you're doing it. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense, and it's one of the biggest hangups that people have.
So how do you work on it?
Yeah. Oh man, I've got two great things. So you're gonna love this. Okay. So number one is that you don't actually have to get awkwardly vulnerable or be a total weirdo with your content just to be you, right? So straight up. But what is more important than speaking to the what that you do is speaking to the pain or the desires of your market and things like origin story. So for example, where say I'm working with people on scale and marketing stuff, right? Rather than being hey, I can give you the two frames of contents. The one side is very heady, where it's you go out and create content and follow this framework and and more like teaching, like teaching, here's the things that you do and talk. But most people know we make decisions emotionally. We vibe with things emotionally, but then we justify with logic. But when we're in this content, information, what part of the brain are we talking to? Emotional or logical? It's all logical, right? So it just doesn't connect at a deeper level. So to speak to the emotional level is more that's where I would be, say in that context, it might be more are you struggling with, putting content out? Do you feel like you put stuff out, nobody resonates with it? You're unsure what to do. right? Like pain points, or like the other side of that is like desire, where it's if you want to build a brand and be recognized, and like time freedom, like the things that the market desires or the things that you desired. Your origin story, like I created this because I saw so many people that were struggling to do this, and they felt called to more, but then they would get confused about what to do. Like all of that kind of stuff, people are more, they lean in, right? And the information needs to be the small percentage. Now the information needs to be there too, but I can tell you, so I started running a lot of master classes, and the biggest mistake I was making early on was I was just teaching on all my master classes. And over time, my coach is like, stop teaching on your master classes. Like, it's not the place for teaching. And so it was literally like the less that I taught, the more people were like getting fired up and wanting to work with me. And it got to the point where I felt like I wasn't teaching anything, and people were loving it because it wasn't information. It was, it was just connecting at a deeper level. So that's thing one when you're talking about how do I go out.
Wait, let's put a pin in that 1 second, because I want to help people kind of relate it and see it to their STR business.
Yeah, perfect.
So what I hear that, and I think it's something that like I've also done at the beginning when I used to go on like sale consultations for management clients, is that feeling that if you're eager and excited and you're just writing out 300 words a minute of all of the things that you're going to do and all the things to make it better, that's when I want you to relate to what Chris is saying now. So you're overly coaching, right? And so you're not relating, because you're not even listening to what their true pain point is, that you can make them feel seen and heard, and then they'll sign up to manage with you. You're going there, seeing things and providing value, which we want to open it to a broader conversation. You're eager to provide value to show that you have value, versus understanding you have value, just be quiet, let them talk, understand what it is, and don't offer all your solution to somebody and then be like, I met with them for 2 hours and I told them everything that they have to do with their business, and then somehow they're not calling me back. I'm like, yeah, you oversimplified it. You gave them all the things to do, and now they don't know what they don't know, which is like they can't do it without you, but they're going to try to experience it without you. And then come back in a couple months and be like, hey, you were right, which is what a lot of you experience, right? A lot of you are like, hey, we spoke 6 months ago. You told me this and this and this. I did it by myself. I did it with somebody else and they didn't do it. But you were great. Here's my house.
Yeah, man. Because information is not transformation. And we need the implementation to create the transformation, right? Like that's the whole thing in the coaching realm is people are drowning in information. Like everything is available. ChatGPT, YouTube, you name it. But that ain't, that's nothing. Like it's the transformation. You get, and then you get people in the right room, like kind of going back to that, or the right coaches, or right where they tap into something different. Well, now the implementation becomes easier. So, you were saying about like tying it, like even at a base level of an STR, what do people, why are they renting, right? Why do they want that? Like, that's where I would start from. If I was, even at that level, if I was like, why would they want to rent? Like, why are there the same properties in the same markets, and one is priced way up here and one is priced here? Often, like the ones that are priced higher could have more demand. So, this can go in every way, management and like, but even just at that basic fundamental thing is there's a story in the description, and the story penetrates the person's subconscious. And it's not just features of the rental. It's the bigger picture. And it's, I think, the best at this. Like, I think of a local hotel here. It's like a little boutique hotel. And, these two girls came in, they bought this, they transformed it, and they blew it up on social media. And they just have this entire story that appeals to a very specific market. And they charge double a night per room than anyone else in the area. But I can tell you what they're not talking about: the rooms. Like, they're not talking about the size of the rooms and the bed and the TV and the AC and the Wi-Fi and the parking. Like, they're not talking about any of that crap. That's the information, right? And that's logical. That's not emotional. They're telling the story, the experience. So yeah, so that's, do you think that makes it more relatable?
Yeah, I think so. I think in general, most people, even when they're considering about taking a leap and starting a business, I think you go into the information more than the emotion. And that's why a lot of the times people don't last 18 years. Because for me, to last 18 years, there has to be that emotional buy-in, and decisions have to be made from that emotional kind of place versus that logical place.
100%. And when people call up, and people always call up in the frame of, hey, how much is X? And the last thing, and this works in, so I do like sales coaching things. The last thing to do is answer the question, because they're just in a logical frame where they're doing this comparison game. It's like, well, what is it you're using it for? What do you care about? Like, what's going on? Like, tell me what you're doing. And then we want to understand that. I mean, that's classic good sales work. Like, let me uncover this and figure out, what are your real motivators? Like, it's not price. Like, that's how we're positioned as a premium in our industry. Like, I mean, printing, it's one of the most competitive industries in the world. And we're positioned as a premium product. Now we deliver, but it's also about the way that we have the conversation with the brands. So people call in, how much is thing? Well, what is it you're doing for it? Well, we're doing a conference. And then what's important about, like, we want this experience for people. We want it to look premium. We want this. Okay, well, based on that, I recommend, and it's just a whole different conversation. But early on, I didn't get that. And it was just like, oh, this size, this many feet, this polyester fabric with this, like all these details that nobody cares about. Like, nobody actually cares about any of that stuff. They think that they do. And so that's where, when it comes to marketing, whether it's a personal brand or the brand of a business or the brand of a product or whatever, it's like getting out of the information speaking.
100%. So to bring back to what the original question was, right? So we're looking at how to really get out of your own way, right? So the first tip you gave us was like to speak to the pain plus the desire of your market, right? So that's thing number one. So if you find that you're working on growing your STR management company or your personal brand, and that's not connecting, switching your lens to, okay, how can I speak to the pain plus desire of my avatar, technically, right? So if it's a vacation rental owner or an investor, or even if it's a vacation rental guest, right? Like, what is their pain? So probably normal life plus their desire, an escape, right? And so how do I speak to them?
Mm-hmm.
And so you had a second point that people should consider.
Yeah. So then that's the one about, well, how do I do this when I'm like, nervous about what people think, or I'm in my head about creating content? And this one, the answer is actually, somebody out there isn't going to love this, but this is what they're going to need to hear. Have you ever heard where they say, like, change your mindset about working out, and instead of like having the goal as the goal, make doing the thing the goal? Like, instead of like, I want to get to this in 6 months, it's like, if the goal is work out every day, it's now this micro goal that's like easy to achieve. So the doing the thing becomes the goal. So it's the same thing with creating content. Make creating the flipping piece of content and getting it out there the goal. And funny thing happens. Pretty quickly, you stop caring what anyone thinks. Like, and I can relate to this. Like, I kind of avoided social media for a long time because I ran ads and I would drive traffic and I'm the funnel guy and all. And I'm like, nah, and I wouldn't really post on social media. And there was two reasons. One, I was hiding, and two, I didn't have a framework. And so the framework is what we were just talking about, but the hiding part, like, I know the people that I thought about when I was like, oh, I should post on there. And I would automatically think of like, oh, what's this person going to think? What's that person going to think? What's that, right? But then it's a point of like, okay, well, those people, like that quote that's like, on your best day, you'll never be good enough for some people. And on your worst day, you'll be like, great for the right people, or however it goes. So it's like, well, these people don't pay my bills and they don't feed my kids, which is all well and good, but there's still resistance. So it's just really a matter of, I'm going to make doing it the goal, facing that demon, just facing that dragon and getting it out there. And it's surprising how fast you stop caring. And then a lot of those people will come to you. And I've had this where I start putting, and then I'd have the most unexpected people come and be like, oh, dude, like, I really love this content you're putting. Like, I love this stuff. And I'm sitting back like, man, like, I was like, when they brought it up, I was almost a little like, am I going to cringe? Am I going to, feel that way? And you just develop the muscle from doing the flipping thing. Like, you just do it and you get momentum. And then a really fascinating thing happens is, I think that you become more confident like in a lot of different ways, because it's like you're creating this shift in your mind, less about caring what people think, which is the ultimate self-worth level up. Because like if you're going to go do something in a public arena and not care what people think about you, then think about what the message that you're saying to your own subconscious mind. You're saying like, I am this, and as you do that, you walk a little taller and you speak a little stronger, and you just let go of giving a shit what anybody's thinking about anywhere all the time. And then you unlock more flow of content. Because when you're in state, when you're in flow, you have more ideas, and you just let those ideas flow through you. So then you get less about even what am I going to post, and you just start having insights and ideas like all day long. And then when you get in the mode where you just let it flow through, you don't even think about it anymore. This is how, all those big names that flow so much content all day long, this is how they do it, is they unlock the state where there's no filter. So they're just ideas, insights, and it's just flowing through, and there's no thought. Let me just post this as fast as I can. Somebody like a Gary V who's just pouring content onto, so because it's just as soon as it comes, it just goes out. You get into that zone, man, your business it will blow up. Like as soon as I started doing that, my DMs exploded. Like I got overwhelmed, and I had this moment of like, do I need to figure out how to plug a CRM into my social media, like messaging things? Because I got all these people, and I'm like, I don't even know how to manage all these leads. Because like we got CRM for my salespeople in my company, but social media, I didn't have that experience. And I'm like, how do I handle all these people? And I'm like, I don't even know and it's a better quality problem. Anyway, I feel like I'm on a rant with all that, but like everything that you want is on the other side of the thing you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Just
No,
do
dude,
it.
I love that.
If you're afraid to do it, if you're afraid to do it afraid.
Yeah, because then that's having courage, right? That's all. That's all it is. So I want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah.
One of the questions that I have in mind is, you have attended a ton of personal development, marketing events, sale events. You have emceed a lot of events. Give me, I want to say three. Give me three things that you've learned from masterminds and events that have been life-changing things for how Chris Crawford has operated from that realization on, right? Like three big moments.
Like 3 action items for like 3 things I realized, or 3 things in my past that shifted. Like, what do you
Three
mean?
things that you realized that
Okay.
made you change your actions, or like how you looked at things. Because to
Bro.
me, that's what makes the biggest kind of change, right? Is the moment that your conceptions of yourself changes based on new information, and then the way that you look at things changes, right? So give me three of those.
Number 1, straight up, is where I started this podcast. Being in the room rewires you. Like the room rewires you. Like in the room. Like I remember having an unlock at an event. It was like a quantum leap of my self-worth. Just being in the room around the right people. And it's like you just keep doing that, getting those reps over and over and over. I mean, everybody, like we all hear it. Like, what do they say? Like 10x your business, 2x your personal development. So number 1 is being in the right rooms with the right people. We had this. I was hesitant on real estate for a long time. Like I chickened out. My business was doing over $1 million. I think we were at 1.5 in revenue a year, and I wanted to buy a house, and I put an offer on a house at $123,000 and chickened out on it, dude. I was so afraid of what? And then I went to a mastermind event in Whistler, and I was around guys that were flipping like 100 homes a year, like, buying, people like you, like just people that were just at this whole other level. And it was like my fears and limiting beliefs evaporated. And I remember coming out of that event and immediately buying 2 houses, just straight into 2 places. So anyway, being in the right room. Number 2 is when you come out of an event with like 1 million notes. The biggest thing I've learned there is nail down to your 1 or 2 biggest needle movers and just do those. Like I remember coming out, I'd have 13 action items or 20 different things, books I was going to read, and I was going to do, and then not doing anything. 1 or 2 items, come out and action it. That's huge. And I don't know, I got on a riff with those. So a third thing is transformation comes in the transaction. So there's power in the moment that you say yes. Like when I believe when we pay money to do something, this is why I love high ticket stuff. when you pay money to something, it's a moment where there's a fork in the road and you're literally shifting your path because you are investing in yourself and your belief in yourself. And it's another like self-worth, like confidence up level. Like if I give somebody money, if I go, I remember invested in a $25,000 program earlier this year. And in that moment, when I pay that, it's like, I'm doing that because I believe in a new future. And so I believe there's an ultimate like transformation in the transaction that starts to happen even before getting there and doing the work. It's just, there's just something that's happening inside. And, I even believe the message you send to your creator that you're like, I believe in this, like I'm committed. So those would be my top three.
I love that, man. And I think it's a great awareness. I want to second the second one, right? I think one of the biggest shifts that I've done was reviewing notes on my way home from events and really making sure that one, I relearned them, and that was like just literally the same thing, taking one or two things and understanding that like life changes with one or two things at the time and not this like all encompassing thing. And another big thing that you said that I want to just repeat is that sometimes growth happens when doing the thing becomes a goal.
Yeah.
So like doing the action becomes a goal. So it's not the like long-term vision, but it's just you get committed and you get lost to the actual craft. Because to me, like that's the thing, right? Like when you do the thing, you are lost in the craft and you are loving the craft. And that's why people say when you do what you love, you don't feel like you're working. Because it's that element of like, yeah, cool, I could do this for the rest of my life, right? So for people that loved your vibe and want to find out more about you, Kick-Ass, maybe they have some events or offices and they want to get something printed, where can people find out more about you guys?
Yeah, so Kick-Ass, you can Google us, Kick-Ass Media, pretty easy to find. You can find me on any social, Chris J. Crawford on most things, or my website, chriscrawford.ca. Happy to jam with anybody. If you find me on social, DM me directly and, let me know what hit. What are you feeling? What's going on? Like, yeah, I'd love to hear from anybody.
Yeah, man. And then the last question that I ask everybody, and I'm going to kind of reframe it for you, is what's your number one secret to success with marketing?
Oh, that's well, since I make my own rules, I'm going to give you two.
Okay.
One is you just got to do it, which we've been talking about. That's probably the biggest one. And then number two is always figure out what feedback, like if you can track clear data and numbers, cool. If it's not as clear, what feedback can you get so that you can just keep improving? It's like a recipe, right? Like if you were going to perfect a chocolate cake, for some competition to save somebody's life, you're not going to make one. You would make chocolate cakes all day long and you would just keep tweaking the recipe, but you have to make it, taste it, adjust it. It's the same thing in every single arena, right? I mean, I thought about you with jujitsu earlier. Like, how many times do you get smoked in a position and then you're like, okay, I've gotten in, like, let me not put me
And then you get smoked in another position.
Yeah, then you do. But that, do it, get the feedback and adjust. And, in the beginning, somebody said this, I don't know who it was. In the beginning, we suck, and then we do it long enough where we suck less. And if we do it really long, we get to the point where we don't suck and we're actually good. But you don't know if you're not getting the reps in.
Love it, man. Well, as always, it is so easy for me to have all kinds of conversation with you. I think we just kind of barely scratched the surface. Me and Chris are known with another friend of ours, Harry, who used to be a monk in a monastery in China. Just to tell you the kind of friends that I hang out with, me and Chris and Harry have this famously long-lasting accountability pod. It's called a tripod. And when we connect, our calls are at least 2 hours to 2.5 hours. And they have all kinds of existential business, life kind of topics. And so I am deeply appreciative for one, your friendship, man. And then two, you coming to spend this time with me. And I know that your authenticity and love for what you do is definitely going to create an impact or at least an awareness in somebody listening today. So I do appreciate you.
Thank you. Likewise, man. I appreciate you and Harry too. And yeah, getting on with you guys, man. I never know what we're gonna talk about, where we're gonna go.
No idea.
But we all need those people in our lives. And it's not usually family or close friends that we grew up around. It's someone, and I've broken record on this, but it's someone we usually meet somewhere that's just doing the same things and has the same values. And I'm grateful for that.
100%. So to our listeners, I do hope that you find your version of a tripod or a group or a community, because again, as Chris has said multiple times today, my life significantly leveled up when I started hanging out with the right people. And so I do wish and hope that for all of you guys. And with that having been said, I'll see you guys next week. Ciao, guys.